easy to speak on it before I had.
No, you have to speak in front, that's the rules.
Okay, well, you know, we don't have to worry about it, I got a headache, I ain't gonna lie to you.
Okay, I understand.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Easy. Discussion, and item 6, discussion and take action to approve the Prairie View Economic Development Corporation's project and professional services contract with LJ Engineering in the amount of $49,800 to develop the City of Prairie View's master water plan. Mr. Easy.
So is OJA in the room? Okay, I actually wanted them to present, what the study was, cause I had some of you all reach out to me, as well as some citizens reach out to me about like what the item was about. And it's basically so right now we're kind of down to, I think, 137 water lines, in the city. We have a total of 2,500 water lines in the city, so once those water lines are depleted, we are no longer able to like make major developments come here to Prairie View because we have no water source for them. So we're trying to get a water study done, which is kind of like a strategic plan for our water pipelines, basically to see where we can strategically place water pipelines and water lines, stuff like that, so that business could come in, whether it's a big hotel or something like that, just a water plan to basically do that, and to also move forward in actually doing the actual project of putting those water pipes into the city of Prairie View. So LJA did come before the EDC, and it is in our right to basically fund this project because it goes into helping businesses come in. Everything's in accordance with the attorney as well. But I know some concerns were why not the city engineering company do it, Trilogy, and I'm not sure about that. But the EDC did vote to have LJA do this study. So, any questions? Yes.
Go ahead.
My question would be directed towards Trilogy Engineering. Can you guys, have you seen this item on the agenda number 6?
I've seen it on the agenda, yes. I saw it Monday.
Are you guys not capable of doing the same study or system with the services that have been asked for?
We are capable.
So were you guys not approached or asked to?
We were not involved in any matter.
So, I guess this question is more easy. This comes, so LJA is the company in which, they are the engineers for, the new housing that's going behind, Jones Elementary School, right?
I'm not aware of that.
Mr. Mayor?
I have to look, I know they're involved in a couple of projects, but let me ask this question. With this on agenda, can council approve an engineering company, or based on the way it's worded, do they have to select, because the engineering, you said I had a lot of latitude.
Yeah,
So
so,
council desires, because at the time this started,
so this has nothing to do with the mayor or council when it comes to a bidding process for engineering. The EDC is a separate not-for-profit corporation, and they have to abide by the Open Meetings and the Open Records Act. Separately, for the expenditure of funds, city council has to approve it. The ask is that they approve $49,500 for LJA Engineering Services. So you would have to approve LJA tonight or disapprove, and then they would have to go back to the drawing board. But they're not required to abide by the same bidding processes that you are.
All right, and may I ask who proposed it?
They came to our meeting. I don't think anybody specifically proposed it, but they came to our meeting. They saw our need and they just proposed that it be done.
Okay.
I can help answer that a little bit. This process started several months ago, and that was prior to council having selected Trilogy as the engineering firm. So that's the only reason LJA got involved in this in the first place, because these kind of things were coming up. And yeah, so we can, again, we can do what council says. Yes?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Do you have the scope of work that was submitted to, so for LJA to come up with a bid, there has to be a scope of work or some further information. Have you provided that to council for us to look at?
I have not provided that to council.
So based upon, do you have the information?
I do have the information.
Okay, could we get a copy?
Yes, if you guys like to postpone this, until like later on in the meeting, then I can have Ray make some copies of that scope.
All right, the second thing is, council's ability to, you know, again, we either voted up or down. Economic 4B has made the recommendation. I think Councilman Jones asked in reference to Trilogy Engineering and why, if we have an engineering firm, we didn't go to them to say, hey, can you do this, and why not? And the answer is that we started this a long time ago. Does not work. We've been talking with Trilogy Engineering for a year and a half. We had a workshop, we had several meetings with Trilogy Engineering where we sat down and talked about a wastewater treatment facility, how much it would cost. They did a presentation for City Council. And so to then say, well, you know, that doesn't matter, and then we're gonna come with LJ. I could care less who we use. I'm just saying that it would be best if we all connected together with current people we have on board in reference to LJ or anyone doing engineering work. So, but I do commend Economic 4B taking the step to break this down. We don't have the funds to expend to just do $150,000 plan that we need. So if we broke it down year to year, water, sewer, and all those other plans, if we broke them down, we can pay for it piece by piece. So again, but this is something we've outlined 18 months ago. And so this is just, again, we thank Economic 4B because they have the money to be able to move forward this plan, but we thought, we hope that you would have come back with City Council and try to help work together, because we started on this process very, very long time ago.
I move that we do not approve the Purdy Economic Development Corporation project and professional service contract with LJA Engineering in the amount of $49,800 to develop the city of Purdy National Water Plan.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded that the council do not approve item 6, the Prairie View Economic Development Corporation's project and professional services contract with LJA Engineering in the amount of $49,800 to develop the city of Prairie View's master water plan. Further motion, ready for the question? Okay, let's
I would just like to say really quickly, I know Councilman Rowland said that this has been something that can be done year to year, but just looking at what's going on in the city right now and how fast we're growing, this is something that needs to be done immediately, the study, then as well as the actual thing, because from what they said, it takes 12 to 14 months just to put this into play. So we're waiting that long to actually do something like this. I don't think that would be good for the city.
readiness, go ahead.
All right, my readiness is, I'd just like the Economic 4B board to also get a proposal from, Trilogy Services, if they could do the same thing, being that they already are our city engineer. It's like they already are part of the city, while they already help out the city, bring resources to the city, while we contracting with someone outside, which we chose to hire them to be our city engineer.
My unreadiness is getting a copy of the scope of work, and if we can get that scope of work, and I understand this is a long-term process, and we do need to get it moving, but we thought, you know, the communication would have also allowed us to be able to give our input or feedback. Again, because of what City Council does in our role, you know, again, we either voted up or down, and we're saying that, oh, you know, one, could we get the scope of work so we know what we're talking about? That's the first thing. Second, can we also want to get our engineering firm, the city's engineering firm, on record as far as participating or saying, hey, LJA is the best go. And how did y'all, so if y'all started this process, how did y'all get to LJA Engineering? Did you do bid process? Is They just came to you and said, here, hey, this is what you need, and you said, yeah, we need that?
So, LJA came to us with the actual problem. I don't think myself or anyone on the board, well, probably some people on the board probably knew, like, what the problem was, but they came to us with the problem of saying, hey, you guys have these many water lines, and this is how many are being used right now. And in the future, y'all won't have water lines to let businesses or homes and stuff like that come in. So they proposed that to us, and we asked them to bring back a proposal to us on the scope of work. They did that, then once we reviewed it, the board decided to approve that.
Any other amendments?
If I could ask for a clarification of the motion was to not approve. I want to make clear, you're not saying to disapprove, you're saying to just not approve? Or are you asking to disapprove it? Or are you asking to table it for a period of time until they can do the other two items?
The motion was to
It's a
not
little
approve.
unclear. To not approve are the words he used.
But I do.
But meaning, can it come back or not,
Yeah,
absent somebody voting in the?
I just want them to bring it back to 2 items, so I guess I moved that, but I don't want it to have the same word verbiage, the next meeting if I move for it to be on the next, city council. So, would I change my motion or verbiage or?
No, not approve is appropriate. I just wanted to ensure that we're not getting it down as a disapproval so that it can't come back.
You just said not
Not approving this one.
approving this,
Stated.
but then also the two things, you wanna add the two, well,
Well, no, we got
we got a conversation. Do we have to even carry this, when we carry this, can we come back with subsequent motion on this issue?
A completely separate agenda item with the other two things can be brought back if it's a motion to not approve as opposed to disapprove. So the motion is correct, and when
Ms.
everything
Bynum,
else is done.
I just, for the record, because I'm not sure, do we call not approve or disapprove? Because for some reason I'm feeling disapprove might be what was
The-
stated.
So as long as not approved is what is stated, it can come back.
Okay. Any other readiness? Councilwoman Williams.
I'd like to know what those two items are.
All right, 2 items were to see if the city engineer could provide those services. And then Councilman Brown.
What the proposal was?
Yeah, the scope of work.
That should have been in front of us right now.
Any other readiness? All those in favor?
All those in favor, aye.
All,
So we're voting aye.
not approving. Okay, 1, 2. All, opposed for,
Not approving.
in favor of it passing?
No.
Or not?
No,
approving?
that motion's not on the floor. It's just
Okay.
all opposed to the motion to not approve.
All opposed to the motion to not approve? 1, 2. Mr. Haynes? Okay. No, motion,
So motion fails, but it does stand ready for another motion if there is one.
yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Rowland?
I move that this agenda item, I move that we discuss, that we move this agenda item to discuss and take action to approve Prairie View Economic Development Corporation's project and personnel services contract with, do I have to state the engineering firm, or can I just say with getting upon, well, no, we want them to bring the scope of work and the information with the two things that were stated with Trilogy Engineering back to us before we approve this. So the motion will be for Economic 4B to come back to City Council with the two subsequent documents, scope of work, and a conversation with Trilogy Engineering if they can do the work or not. That was my motion.
It's been properly moved and seconded that the Prairie View Economic Development Corporation bring back the information from Trilogy Engineering for the scope of work and the ability to do the work.
Mr. Mayor,
All those in favor, no, hold on. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay.
I'm on economic 4B, and they already have the number, so that's not gonna be fair. They can't bid if they already have the price that.
Hold on. That's not the issue. They didn't mention that. They mentioned, we're not supposed to have this discussion. Item 7, discuss and take action on the new hire ordinance. Councilman Jones. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, so, we got Director, Ms. Williams, sent the email to Attorney, Sarah, Attorney Griffin, and she helped with our ordinance, which would be section 9.201, hiring procedures. No individual to be hired by the city unless the city council has authorized the position within a department, office, or agency of the city. The position has been specifically budgeted for in the current fiscal year budget, and the city council has approved the compensation for the specific position to be filled. Section 9.202, authority of the mayor consistent with the city charter. Once hired, employees will be subject to the personal rules as promulgated under the charter. The administration controls the mayor or other department head as stated in the charter. I would like to make an amendment to it, which I'd like to ask if it's okay with Attorney Griffin, that when it says specific position to be filled, not add with job description.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
May I add specific position to be filled with job description?
And this, at the end of the first
Yes, ma'am.
section? So that can be added by the city council if it's not already an authorized position. So if you have an authorized position under the first section there, that you already have a job description for and it's the same position,
Yes, ma'am.
then you wouldn't have another, you wouldn't see it each time.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
So you would say, and a job description, if one has not already been approved, would be consistent with the charter. Because that would go with the first section of that.
And council, just for the record, I want to make sure we're clear that nothing in this particular ordinance is inconsistent with the city charter. Because it's my understanding that council can't vote on something up here that is in violation of the charter that the entire city is voting for.
Correct,
Right.
correct. And this takes the city charter and tracks the language from the charter and also recognizes the mayor's authority in the charter. At the same time, what it does is it repeals anything in the current personnel rules that have already been approved and overrides that if they deal directly with the hiring process and or any previous ordinances. We have those old ones on the books from before the charter that this is replacing as
Gotcha.
well.
So, do I have to add that in there in my motion? Approve with the correct verbiage?
If there's no motion on the floor right now, you can make a motion to approve it with the amendment.
I move that we approve, the new hire ordinance number 201910280040 with the amendment.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. We've heard the motion, ready for the question. Council Rowland?
With this ordinance, as we looked at it, changing those, repealing what we currently had, did we look at to make sure that this is consistent with the personnel manual or hiring manual or SOP?
It repeals anything it specifically has a section in here that repeals any section of the personnel rules that are inconsistent with this, because there are some sections in the personnel rules.
Yes.
But we're comfortable with the language of the charter, that the personnel rules apply to employees, and hiring the person is not yet an employee, so that you can do that.
Yes, so that's the legal piece, or not the legal piece. That is the changes, but the personnel manual says that these things are gonna happen, these steps, SOPs. This doesn't speak to what that process is, and I'm saying, do we have to, with these changes, do we have to add to that, or is that, it's just gonna
I
take
mean,
that?
if you remember, we run into this problem all the time, especially specifically you, because we argue what our personnel says rather than what it lines up, and the mayor uses his power and corrects with the charter and, the ordinance, which overcomes the, whatever the personnel matter says. So this makes everything fall in line and be as one.
So, I guess my question is, at this point, with this ordinance, the next step would be to update the personnel manual so it reflects.
Yeah, so everybody's looking at one scenario, one
What is
document.
that, what is the process of updating the personnel manual? What is that?
The process is pretty clear. The mayor brings it to you and you approve it or disapprove it. If you disapprove it, he brings you another one back. And it's until it gets approved, so,
I think the question is more clearly stated that we want your assistance in taking this to the personnel man. Because they clearly don't want me to do it.
It wasn't.
No, I'm saying with the changes that this have, that are incorporated with changing things in the personnel manual, we need and want your assistance with that.
I can certainly assist you in doing that.
Yeah,
Right,
no, that's fine.
an administrative. So, the process is, the mayor would identify things that are in the personnel manual that aren't in congruence with the new ordinance. He will bring those things to council to change in the personnel manual. That's the process.
Yes, and technically the process is, once this is approved, those go away. They're already gone. But for purposes of being able to tell what's going on and reading a piece of paper, yes.
Right, but it also doesn't have to be the mayor who goes through the personnel manual, right? It can be a responsibility delegated.
Well, it's automatic, so the interpretation of that, would ultimately lie in the actions of doing it. But yes, to bring it back, it does have to be the mayor who brings it back to the city council under your
The
charter.
mayor would put it on, what I'm saying is the mayor could put it on the agenda, but he could delegate the responsibility
Sure,
Somebody else.
right, so it doesn't have to be him actually doing the legwork, he could delegate the responsibility to him.
sure.
When they can bring it to him, he can bring it to us.
So we use the charter for all our discussions and conversations. Many people, when they're having discussion dialogue, don't use the Constitution. The city's charter is the same as the Constitution federally. When we talk about our ordinances, that is the process in which we're going to conduct business. Then you have our personnel manual, which is how employees or day-to-day operations of something happens. For many times, we're just being told that, this power is inherent in this, and it doesn't really matter on the other two. And so we're just trying to, I'm just trying to be very clear. We did have some inconsistencies in the other two documents, and you're saying this clears those up.
We're certainly hoping so.
Okay.
It's as close as we can get with the language of your charter to clearing them up.
Councilman Randall.
Call for the question?
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed have the same right. Ayes have it. Item 8, discuss financial statements received from bookkeeper, Mr. Johnson.
Okay, tonight I provided you all with a financial statement, most current one for both the city and economic development due through September. I guess I hope there's any questions that y'all might have. Now, you had the one in August in hand. Y'all want me to say some
If you have
things?
some substantive changes, like
Pardon?
around, you have any categories that?
Yeah, well, I
draw
can-
attention?
I can bring some things to your attention.
You don't have to go through everything.
Okay,
If you
fine,
have
right.
some glaring
Okay.
things you would.
Yeah, well, one thing that I did run into, and that is, let's flip over here, get out the one for September, and look at Public Works.
Page what? Page?
P&L is page 13. And if you look at page 13, one thing I did notice, and this has occurred for the past 2 months, August and September. If you look at current month under revenue, and look under, Public Works revenue late charges, you see 0. For whatever reason, we didn't bill any late charges on those invoices, on those bills.
You said page
Column 1, midway in the first.
Page 13,
subsection.
page 13.
Entry,
Well, you look at the income statement. Look under Public Works revenue late charges, the one that's capital, that one line item,
oh,
Yeah, right here.
you see 0 for the current month?
Okay.
Yeah. For the past 2 months, we haven't billed any late charges. It's budgeted for about 3,400 a month, and I don't know why. I'm just letting y'all know that didn't take place.
Can I explain that? Why no late charges?
Yes, ma'am, come on.
Okay, Mayor Allen, if you will recall, remember when you said that if we didn't give the people 20 days in which to pay their bill, you remember when we ran into some problems? I came and talked to you, and you said you can't bill them late fees. Do not bill them for late fees. I don't remember, I had that conversation with you. And so, the way we were billing, I can't charge those people a late fee for the next month because we already have all this going on. You said change the date. I have to give them 20 days. Do you remember that conversation? If I give them 20 days, that goes into another month, okay? So you can't bill those people. And I explained that as well to Mr. JJ when he first asked me about that. And Mr. JJ came back and said, you didn't say that, but I don't, you and I had that conversation.
Let me share our conversation, because you took that a little differently. You're right, I said if the billing goes out, you're correct, to change the date so that they would still have 20 days before it was late.
Right.
I never said do not bill late charges, because as long as they have 20 days, if they don't pay after the 20 days, because maybe we had holidays or bad weather situations, that was the only change to date. It was never not to bill at all. After 20 days, they're late.
No, that's not.
And it can be, if you will, if it winds up being
Right.
September 2nd,
Right.
but as long as they've got 20 days,
No,
if they don't pay by that date, they're late.
No, but you told me specifically that I could not charge people a $10 late fee because of the problem that we had, along with, you said, I must give them 20 days to pay. So in order not to charge the customers a $10 late fee, I did as you told me to, and I took that option off to bill the $10 late fee.
No, ma'am, that's totally inaccurate, and we'll straighten that out, but the entire point is to make sure if we're late for weather, holidays, whatever, that the customer, as you said, change the date, so if it goes out on the 15th,
Right.
you add 10 days before the due date, and they have their 20 days, and then it's late, and there's a late fee assessed.
No, that's
No,
not what
we
we
don't.
discussed, Mayor. That was at
No,
the
ma'am.
very beginning of the conversation.
No,
I
I'm sorry,
mean-
Councilman Randall.
So, Mr. Attorney,
Yes.
before I dive into my question, we're getting off the agenda because we talked about the financial report. I can't ask her about the process, about this not receiving revenue late charges in place. I need to create an agenda item for that.
Yes, or talk to her off record. I mean, I think the point has been brought to your attention that there's an issue,
Well,
and you now know that, and then you
We
can.
can't discuss that
No,
specific
but
item.
the point I'm gonna make to you that we are researching that, and from our company standpoint, we're looking at why it didn't take place. And hopefully going forward, we can figure out a way to have it rectified.
Okay,
And I can report to you what we, you know, what we come up with as far as trying to rectify the situation.
Can that,
It
can
doesn't
that,
have to happen.
so I guess my question is, where are we at in figuring out, like, what is the timetable on having that rectified?
Well, we're gonna look
Let me answer
at the
that.
next building, go ahead.
Immediately.
Yeah, immediately.
Because we will know, let me make sure the record's clear, since Ms. Durham has some misunderstanding. Whenever, whatever date we send it out, give or take, you just project the 20 days that the residents have usually had, and after that date, whatever that date is, a late fee is applied. Are we clear? No, I'm just asking.
Okay,
So
I
we getting off- we
understand
getting
now,
off-
but that's not the
we getting off-
conversation you
getting off
and I
the-
had.
Are we clear now?
So,
I just want us to be clear
Okay.
now.
I'm-
Okay.
So,
I
Mr.
understand.
Mayor, my only request
Okay.
is, after you and Ms. Durham and JJ have that conversation, could you just send us a courtesy email and tell us what the resolution was? So we
Sure.
can be on the same
Yeah,
page?
Not a problem.
we'll be able to tell because the next building go out, it should have late fees on
Yeah.
Two questions. One, in this report that we get, or whatever we come up with, is there a list of lake properties? Is there one generated?
it. Yes, on your detailed report?
Properly?
No, I mean, each customer.
Each customer?
You got
So,
a
do
detail,
you have
you
a-
got the detail of
Do you have
what
a
each
30,
customer pays.
60,
Oh,
90
yeah.
day
Right.
list?
Yeah, she understands.
And then, and so we're saying for 60 days that Mr. Johnson just talked about, that has had zero.
Okay.
I'm asking.
How many?
I think we did not, I think,
I just, my thing is just to include the information, just to
You want me
include
to,
the info, not who, just how many.
okay,
Like, cause I just want, we're saying that if we know, if we have a monthly list, or if it's every 60 days, on how many late customers, is there a list?
yes,
Okay,
the delinquent list.
okay, okay, no problem. My other question, it has to do with Public Works, but do you have something to say?
Yeah, right, we did pay off the original note that we had with the university in September, roughly 130.
29,000.
Yeah, 29,000.
264.
So it does not appear anymore on page 12 as a liability.
Wow.
What you see there,
that was the original.
right, that was the original note. What you see there is, if you look at page 12, if you look at wastewater treatment payable, that's 682, 04722, that right there, and the accrued amount, 176,000, those two can be added together, and that gives you basically what we still owe the university as far as the new stuff, right?
Alright, so,
Are we still paying a third?
We don't know, starting in October, we're gonna be paying the full amount,
a full amount meaning what though?
the full amount of the water bill, whatever they bill, right, monthly.
Alright, two quick, so, I would say, alright, step back. Both of these numbers you're saying equal, this is for the last 3 years.
That's what
and-
we owe, right?
And what we owe, and so this amount, I mean, that amount is a good amount.
Yes.
We've been waiting, the reason why we've only been paying 30% for the last 3 years is because we're supposed to be rectifying our position with the university. Has that been done?